schools left on Maui. We have seen a lot in the past 2 years, violence on board. Man, flight attendants have their hands full with people who are just unruly and mean, violent. The FAA has recorded over 1,000 cases of bad behavior among passengers so far this year. It doesn't seem like it's slowing down. Over the past few years, we've really seen it on the rise. Kelsey Kernstein is live at O'Hare International Airport with how flight attendants are trying to protect themselves and oftentimes having to pay for it themselves. Kelsey?
You know, Adrian, there's been an uptick in unruly passengers, unruly incidents on planes over the last 3 consecutive months. There were 200 incidents back in July alone. That is according to the FAA. So now you've got the Senate with a new proposed provision in an aviation bill that would require airlines to train their flight attendants defense training so it could protect them against these unruly passengers.
Passengers caught on camera fist-fighting with flight attendants. Incidents like these not only causing delays and diversions, but also physical harm to flight crews and passengers. The problem has become so alarming that a new policy bill would require airlines to train flight attendants to be able to defend themselves in violent situations. According to the bill, each such air carrier should have in place and deploy an employee assault prevention and response plan to facilitate appropriate protocols, standards, and training to equip employees with best practices and the experience necessary to respond effectively to hostile situations and disruptive behavior and maintain a safe traveling experience.
A lot of these attacks are life-threatening. And so you don't really know what you're dealing with, how you're dealing with it. And unless you're fully equipped for all scenarios, it can definitely be detrimental.
According to the International Air Transport Association, in 2022, 1 in every 568 flights reported having an unruly incident, with the 3 leading causes being noncompliance, verbal abuse, and intoxication.
I feel sorry for them right now with all their violence that's happening on the planes. And I do think they need some training to make sure they don't get hurt.
NewsNation reached out to both Southwest and United Airlines and were instructed to ask industry trade group Airlines for America for answers.
The TSA already offers free self-defense training classes. They've done so since 2004. They are not mandatory. But if these flight crews, if they take it, they have to leave work. Then if they miss the scheduling time, then they'll have to pay for it out of pocket. Adrian, this is a mess.
Yeah, Kelsey, I'll take it from here. It's absolutely wild. We have to take the temperature down, and when you're mid-flight, that responsibility does fall on those flight crews. Kelsey, thank you. Joining us now to talk about this further is Sara Nelson, the International President of the Association of Flight Attendants. Thank you so much, Sara, for being with us. I know my mom is a flight attendant for Southwest Airlines, so I know the rigorous weeks and weeks of training that are needed to prepare for the job. And part of that training is how to de-escalate tense situations in terms of talking to passengers. But are you telling me that none of it is actual self-defense training in that mandated training program?
The self-defense training is very limited, and so the Senate bill makes it much more explicit about what would have to be required in order to train flight attendants to actually be able to defend themselves on board. And yes, we're trained in de-escalation and how to identify when temperatures are rising, and flight attendants expertly do that all across the country and bring those temperatures down and, for the most part, get flights up and down safely. But we do not have the self-defense training that is so critical for an immediate attack, for an immediate response that is needed, and the repetition in that training that is necessary. TSA does provide a much more fulsome self-defense training. We have to go to that on our off hours. We have expenses in order to go there, sometimes have to pay for hotel rooms. The bill also provides reimbursement for flight attendants to get that more expansive training from TSA.
Yeah, it makes no sense, especially when you see these videos, you know, these viral videos playing out before us. And it's unnerving, not even just for flight attendants and crews and pilots, but for the passengers, too, to know that y'all haven't had mandated self-defense courses. And it's not all theoretical, right? Nearly 20% of respondents to a 2021 Association of Flight Attendants survey claimed they had a physical incident with an unruly passenger. What should self-defense training look like, and what specific skills do flight attendants really need in this day and age?
Well, look, it needs to have an immediate response so the flight attendants understand how to best protect themselves when an assailant is coming at them. And it needs to be in the environment that we work in. It's very different to take a self-defense training that's sort of geared toward an attack on the street than what it looks like in an aircraft where there's very confined space. You need to think about what kind of weapons you may have that you can utilize on board to defend yourself and what the immediate reactions need to be in that confined space to try to defend yourself. We also still need secondary barriers. We open up that flight deck door. That's a major risk when pilots need to come out for physical needs or when we need to get them food. And airlines were supposed to put secondary barriers there so that flight attendants could put that across the way. Yeah. Instead, they have us standing there using our own bodies to try to keep these assailants from getting into the flight deck. So there are so many issues on the plane right now with security where we do not have the proper tools. And this has been since 9/11 that we have been fighting for this training. And it's more and more important these days as we've had these violent attacks on board. Flight attendants want this training more than ever, and we need it more than ever.
Yeah. Sarah, I only have a few seconds left. But not only is the threat of irate passengers very real, but also being a flight attendant, it's a very physical job. It's long days. A lot of times it's a thankless job. What keeps you in the skies day in and day out?
I think your mom would tell you this too. We love bringing people together, and there is nothing like aviation. It's the very symbol of freedom. We know also when we're up in the skies, the vast majority of people come to our airplane door with kindness and a desire to just have a safe, uneventful flight. We encourage passengers to look up from your phone, say hello to us, and also follow our instructions if we need your help to try to subdue an attacker on board. Yeah. But we really love bringing people together. That's why we do it. And I want to thank your mom too for all of her service. Thank you for bringing attention to this. We need to get this FAA bill passed.
Well, I will pass along your message. And if no one has told you today, Sara, thank you. We appreciate everything and your time this morning on Morning in America.
Thank you so much.
Adrian.
We've had Sara on several times. I can't tell you how much I love listening to that woman. She has so many good things to say. Thanks for the conversation.